welcome to episode 5 of Ramblings and Randomness.
We're 5?
Yeah.
Neat. Month 2.
Interesting thing is our episode last week was episode 4, and we did it on the Fantastic 4. He's Roth.
Like we planned it.
I'm Romelio. We didn't. And today we will be discussing Game of Thrones.
Dun 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 dun.
So last night was the final episode of Game of Thrones.
The Iron Throne.
That was the name of the episode, by the way.
And it's what the entire game has been over
Yeah,
for, 9 years total? 8 years?
yeah. So, after the first viewing, after I finished watching it last night, I was not happy.
He wasn't.
I wasn't. I called it weak. Couldn't put my finger on why I thought it was weak. And then I rewatched it today, and it kind of clicked with me. And my opinion has literally shifted to the other side of the spectrum. I thought it was great and amazing. We'll get into reasons later. Because again, this is a spoiler-free review. So we'll focus on why we thought it was great, or lack thereof, later. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic way to wrap everything up. And that's mine.
Yeah. The way I would put it is, I had issues with many things leading up to it. But I was trying to take the series finale from the standpoint of, we're here now. This is where our characters are at. How does the finale hold up with that? Take it by itself. And for doing it that way, I thought it was really well done, and it made the series end on a much better note than I thought it would, because I had issues with a lot of this season. So to be able to end it in a way where I thought it was going to end in a way similar to Lost, which I enjoy the show Lost, but since it aired, when I've revisited, I've visited pieces, an episode here or there, but I've had no interest to watch the series as a full whole, and especially the final season, just because it was rather meh. And there's, I have issues with parts of of this last 2 seasons of Thrones, but the finale held everything and brought so much of it together that I do see myself revisiting the series as a whole again. It's not something that I will just watch the first 4 seasons and stop. I will sit down and revisit up to the finale.
Nice. We both enjoyed it. So now comes...
We know a lot of you didn't.
Yes.
A lot.
A lot.
Whew.
And I think a big reason why people didn't enjoy it is for the same reason why I think it wrapped beautifully. And I'm going to get into that in spoilers.
Spoilers.
So yeah, you're gonna we gotta figure out how to do that. I think a big reason why people didn't enjoy it as much much as they should have is because, well, first off, you got to remember, you're a viewer. Okay, this is a story being told to you. Great stories don't always end in a blaze of glory or fire. And I think that's what people were expecting. They were expecting this episode to open, Jon with the Northmen standing at Daenerys' gates, Drogon standing on top of the walls, and it was going to be Jon versus Daenerys, a bloody battle where Jon takes the throne. But we've seen that. We've seen that this entire series. We've seen people in battle after battle after battle, and we were left, the people that are left, the characters that are left, are tired. They're worn. They're exhausted from the countless, endless war. And I think that it was reflected in this episode. And to me, like, I couldn't pinpoint what it was, and when I finally watched it again, I did. It just seems like every character's exhausted. They're tired.
Davos even said as much.
Yeah, they're just sick of it. And now to see their great hope go mad, it just took the fight out of everybody. You see that in nobody better than Jon. Jon throughout the whole episode to me just like I just want to, dude, go lay down. Like, take a nap. What is with you? Grey Worm was not having any of Jon getting out. Like, basically right now, Grey Worm, the Unsullied, and Dothraki have King's Landing. And
I mean, that's just ashes anyway. It's not like it's much of a place.
Right, but, it's still King's Landing.
Yeah.
And so, the only way, they want Jon's head. They want Jon to die. Of course, Sansa and the others don't. And so they come to an agreement that Jon has to go join the Night Watch. Psst, it's completely useless right now.
There is no Night Watch.
There's not.
Most of them are dead.
Another...
That seems to be something that a lot of people are missing. Mm-hmm. Like, when Bran said he's going to go join the Night Watch and go up north, the Unsullied think, oh, well, he's going to have to spend his days on the wall. That's fine. The wall's broken. Besides which, the dead king is gone. There is nothing more to protect. The other side of the wall is the wildlings, who Jon is friends with and closer family than everyone else. That's why, as much as people came to think, oh, he's going to be staying at the Night's Watch, no, he's not. That's why they clearly show him walking past the wall with the wildlings out all the way north, because it's inferring that Jon is now a free man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And objectively, the Starks won Game of Thrones. By and far. Jon's up north with the wildlings. While Tormund's their king, right? They had it. No, their king died.
Their king died. It was Mance Rayder.
Yeah, it's Mance Rayder.
He died.
Jon's basically their king. Or him or Tormund. Like, let's be honest. Most likely Jon, because they love the shit out of Jon. So Jon's king in the north, like far north. Sansa's queen in the north. Bran's king of the Six Kingdoms. And Arya has a Stark-labeled boat heading west. There's only one Lannister left. No Targaryen except for Jon, but come on, he's Stark. And everybody else is bowing. Game over, son. Starks take it. They got upset what happened to Tony, and they's like, we're not having that. We're not having part 2.
We're taking everything.
Everything. They did. Again, it was a great ending because it showed everyone actually, like, you know what? Maybe my blade's not the answer this time. Let's talk and figure it out.
So, one of the big issues is, I think, people who aren't enjoying it is, first off, there's a lot of people who were Team Daenerys and were really pissed when she did the mad turn. We'll touch on that a little bit more later. But the main thing that seems to be people are mad is there's really no clear winner. People are complaining that, oh, Bran is king, and just kind of What you gotta understand is the show is trying to move the needle, break the wheel, but it can't all happen at once. You can't go from a monarchy to democracy. That's why everyone laughed in Sam's face.
Exactly.
It's baby steps. And the show is in a vacuum where it's one of those where we're so used to stories having definitive endings, most of the time really purely happy endings, that's not real life. And that was one of the things that this show was set on exploring, was like the big rebellion against the evil king happened before we even saw the show. We start to see just the fallout from it afterward and all the infighting. And they're not going to be peaceful after that. That's why they still have Bran has his table of advisors. There's still a hand of the king. There's still going to be, things are still going. Life continues. It doesn't just end. That's why you couldn't have everybody die, because life goes on everywhere. Most people don't die, even in warlike. I mean, you have to have winners. There's still going to be people who survive. Since they didn't have the dead king win. Night King.
There will not be heirs to the throne. There will not be princes and princesses. One, Bran's sterile, and he can't have kids. So Tyrion was like, that's good. You know, from now on, the king shall be chosen by the people. So
by the lords and ladies. Yes.
Yeah, not by the people.
Electoral college.
Yeah, the electoral college. And here's something that most people don't realize. Think about every character in Game of Thrones. As quickly as you can, as many as you can. Name one that doesn't have blood on their hands.
I'm trying to remember if Sam has anything besides Night. Yeah, he killed some people when. Like, I'm not talking about dead people, but he killed.
Yeah.
He killed when he was protecting Gilly, didn't he?
Bran's the only one with no blood on his hands. Bran's the only one who didn't kill anyone throughout the whole series. People killed for Bran, but Bran never killed anyone. And I think that speaks volumes to where the series, or where they're heading after the series, is they chose a king who's not a great warrior. He's not the most battle-hardened. He's the wisest, and he knows history. And he doesn't always use a sword to make his point. And that, to me, is exactly where they need to head. Especially, go ahead.
Those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it.
And guess who knows everyone's history? Bran the Broken. And again, and my wife's here. She's our gal our gal in the chair today, because Buddha had to work. As soon as the credits started rolling, I literally said, that was weak, didn't I, honey?
Yeah.
And like I was heated. I remember then texting him like, that was some weak. And then I watched it I thought about it. You know, I woke up this morning, got my kids ready for school.
I was like, I thought it was pretty good. For how I thought it was one of the better ways from where we were at the end of the last episode that they could end it.
But the more I thought about it, I'm like, they just seem so tired. And that's when everything started falling into place, and I'm like, that's exactly how I should have ended.
There's a couple other things while discussing Game of Thrones that we wanted to touch on besides just the finale. So we wanted to do a quick discussion of the series as a whole, specifically the last season and a half. So most people know the series as a whole up until season 5 for sure. Was it even 6 or parts of 6? I can't remember.
Part 6.
But we're in the books have gotten to, but eventually the show writers got past where the books are currently written. Now they supposedly have an outline of Martin's work, but there are plenty of things that are clearly going to be different. There are characters who are still alive in the books who are dead on the show, and The books are going to end up being different in some ways, but some of the bigger beats are probably close to the same. We won't know for sure until they come out. The big one, I'll tell you, the biggest issue I have this season is the death of Rhaegal. Mm-hmm. Because that shouldn't have happened in the way it did. You could have set it up to happen in some other way, but the way it specifically happened, when Daenerys is coming back to Dragonstone with her, the boats are sailing, she's flying in the air. 10 minutes before that scene, one of her reasons for wanting to go back south sooner is because she didn't want to give Cersei time to plan. Besides which, last season, last season, when the chess game, when Tyrion was fighting Cersei's forces, when they took Castle Rock, that was really good, because he totally missed, and Euron went and decimated the fleet while they're all busy elsewhere. That was good. These characters, as much as they like to play them as stupid, they're not stupid. They learn, especially Tyrion, especially how much they went on about Tyrion learning. So then a couple episodes later, Euron Greyjoy decimates another section of her fleet. Okay, they weren't prepped. This third time, when they've been up north fighting and they know Cersei didn't come and's been left alone down there, the fact that I don't believe that the characters are not smart enough to send scouts to be able to prep because they've been decimated twice by Euron Greyjoy. A third time getting surprise attacked by boats again, I don't believe any of our characters would have happened to. Even as much as people like to say Daenerys is not a military strategist,
Yeah.
you can't say they wouldn't have.
Even more than that, but you're on a dragon in the air. Like, you should be scouting. You are on a dragon in the air. Fly higher. Why are you flying? Well, who are you, Meteor Man? Afraid of heights? Fly a little bit higher so you have view of what's in front of you.
Especially because
You're at war.
you're at war and you've already seen the ballista. They used it last season. We know it's a weapon they now have. The death of Rhaegal is my biggest beef with the
It's
show.
not
I
mine
think.
too.
The death of Rhaegal is my second single biggest beef with the show. I forgot the other one is how the first dragon dies, because there is no way the characters logically would have gone north to get a right. This is when the wall's still standing, and that's what the Night Watch do. They just send a raven to the Night Watch and they grab a white, and then they take it. And even if you don't say that, the logic of how the raven or everything got to where she could get there in time to save them, the death of her two dragons are the biggest issues with the show, actually. The dragons are too powerful, as we've seen in King's Landing battle, that the way that they didn't know how to take them out without losing logic to do it. Mm-hmm. And you have to take a couple of them out to give them a shot for her to logically say she went mad enough to kill everybody, because these are her kids.
Yeah. Alright, so now let's go over the characters.
Alright, so we're just going to basically go down the list, whether or not their ending was well, and
Did they get what they deserved? If they deserved anything at all.
yeah. Daenerys.
Yes, she got what she deserved, and her ending was very well.
Yes.
There was no good ending for Daenerys. She had to become the Mad Queen, and she had to die. So the way she died was beautiful, though, in Jon's arms, because he knew that if he didn't do that, she would become something that she hated in the long run.
Jon Snow.
Unfortunately, yes. I would like to see Jon on the throne. him accept his fate, but it makes sense to, as the person that John is, he would have never accepted it.
If he had accepted it,
It would be on against his character.
nothing would have changed. The wheel would have kept rolling. He wouldn't have probably been on the throne more to, at most 5 to 10 years, because he is too trusting. You look what Saul, he is very much like Ned. Ned did not make it long because he was too trusting. That would happen to John. He didn't want it. So he had a pretty good ending. Tyrion?
Yes, Tyrion's
Tyrion.
fantastic. Oh God, the whole speech he gives about choosing the king is just amazing. The whole series finale for Tyrion was, to me, his best work. Peter Dinklage killed it.
It is. I don't know if it's his. It's his best work clearly since like season 4 that he's had to do.
Sansa.
Yes.
Yes.
That was an easy yes.
Yeah. I mean, Sansa is clearly, in my opinion, of all the people that went through some real shit, came out the most solid. Like, I mean, Sansa went through it. Y'all gotta remember, she went through it, and she came out stronger for it.
Joffrey.
Ramsay.
Whew. Arya.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I want to see her get her green eyes.
There's some issues is where they make big points for a prophecy, but the show, I'm sure in the book, whatever the prophecies they're wanting to touch are going to fully be touched on, but we don't have time for it. So we didn't get to see, because Melisandre made a big deal about brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, so we're going to have 3 big kills in each of those eyes. We had Walder Frey.
So go ahead.
The Night King, so we were waiting for the green eyes, which everyone thought was going to be Cersei. They didn't give her that. They didn't give her anything. Where she ended up, I like.
Me
where
too.
She's going, doing her own thing. There were pieces missing to, first off, show that was even a thought in her motivation. That's where, if we had the long season, for me, I think the stuff we're missing to fully finish Arya's arc is her journey south with the Hound at the end. Where if we had that journey of the 2 of them, we'd have the few last moments where I think it would give more credence to when he tells her to leave in the last episode, and she does. And then, you have her deciding what to do with her life. So I like where she ended up. The show didn't give us what we needed for her to end up in that spot. Cersei?
No.
No.
I think she did.
No.
Look, so Cersei, in my opinion, got what she deserved and had the ending to be expected. Like, we knew she wasn't going to make it out.
No.
But, most people are mad, especially my wife, that she didn't get flayed and bombarded and destroyed.
It didn't have to be that. It just had to be something more epic, not a building falling on her.
But
Like
to me,
that
honestly,
didn't give her an epic ending. She deserved an epic ending.
I think it was, because if you remember when she died, how scared she was. To me, that was Cersei Lannister, not the Queen Mother that we've been seeing for the last few seasons, not the harlot being marched through town, not the incestuous sister. That person frightened of death at her door, knowing that there's nothing she can do right now to avoid it. It's going to happen. And finding solace in the only person that she ever loved besides her children. There was nothing more for her. Yeah, she could have been killed by Arya. She could have been killed by Daenerys, Jon, Grey Worm, the Mountain, the Hound. There's a million characters that could have killed her. And it wouldn't have been done enough justice. because it wouldn't have shown who she really is. In that moment, when the catacombs are falling around her and she's crying, frightened, shaken, that was Cersei Lannister all along. I think it was all meant to show in the Game of Thrones, you either live or you die. And she knew that. Cersei knew that if she won, she won. If she didn't, she was done.
If you want to win the Game of Thrones, your hands won't be clean.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, the person who did win the Game of Thrones, his hands were clean.
The biggest point of contention among the two of us on whether or not the story served is him or not. Jaime Lannister, Kingslayer.
Golden hand.
I feel it did not.
I feel it did.
Our key point of contention is the end of last season when he goes north to help fight. I believe that was when he fully broke from Cersei. When he realized that she cared nothing but for herself, she was not caring about the fight for the life of everyone, that she gave her word to help support and she wouldn't do it. He went north knowing that without an army, there's a very good chance he just gets north, they find him an enemy by himself, and they kill him. I feel that was his clean break from Cersei finally.
I disagree. I think it had nothing to do with Cersei as much as it was his own honor as a knight. He understood the decimation that was headed their way. And so he would go and offer his sword, even knowing that they would kill him if they chose to, but also knowing they needed every blade they could get. I think while he didn't like what Cersei did, that is the woman that he's always loved. And, I mean, I love my wife, but I know sometimes she can be crazy. She can be like that, it's true. But that doesn't make me love her any less. If anything, it makes me love her more. And I think that once he got up north, there's only one other woman who could come close to his love for Cersei, and that's Brienne. So once he was up north, away from Cersei, after the great battle, here he is with this woman who he does have feelings for, and he dances with the idea of, I could start over. I could be a different person. I don't have to be the sister fucker. Ooh, can't say that word. I don't have to be the...
I mean, you can. We've said the F word before.
Yeah. I'm not just the sister fucker, the Kingslayer. I can be more with Brienne. But if you think, during all this time, nobody's mentioning Cersei. They're not worried about Cersei at this moment because they have to focus on the Night King. So afterwards, when everybody starts talking about, okay, now we got to head down to King's Landing and kick Cersei's butt, that's when he starts to remember her and how much he loves her. And I think that's why he goes back. He goes back because he does love her and he needs to be by her side, especially with everything that's coming. I mean, he knows she's about to get whooped. I don't think he's going to fight for her. I think he's going to be with her. And that's what we get, is him just being with her.
Stares into a fire after falling asleep with Brienne for a little bit and then decides, oh, I need to go south to be with Cersei. Now when he did it, I had this discussion with a couple people where I was fully against it at the time. I gave him the qualification, we'll have to see his reasoning when he gets back. I thought he was saying, Brienne, don't follow me, because he didn't want Brienne to get hurt. and he planned on going down and finally doing what he should have done a long time ago and ending Circe. And actually, like, I thought that would have been good development. I thought he would have been getting rid of some, like, attacking his vice that he should have a long time ago. I thought the way he was blasting Brienne was because he didn't want her to get hurt, and this was something he had to do. So if he had gone down there, like, I was basically expecting him to plan to try and take Circe out himself, whether or not he succeeded or not. But I don't buy, at this point, finally, and with his journey over the course of the series, I don't buy him ever having gone back to Circe.
But I mean, didn't he kind of take out Cersei?
No.
Yeah, he did. He held her underneath the building that was falling down.
He could have taken her out, but he took her down.
Same thing.
No, he could have taken her out of the building to keep
Yeah.
her from dying.
Like literally,
But
if
he
you
took
look,
her
if you
down.
look where the building fell on them when Tyrion's walking through to find them, there's an entire clear area. He could have just walked 10 feet to the side.
Not at the time.
Who cleared it out?
That
Nobody
was
else.
still when everything was falling.
When Tyrion got down there, everything it was done falling.
Yeah.
So even still, like, you could look up and see this is all cracking. This isn't. Let me go stand over here. It'll even spare me a couple minutes more life. And oh, this doesn't fall. But no, instead he's like, it's okay. Just let it go. Just die, bitch. But no, I think, look, he loved her. I don't think, it's not his vice, it's his love. Their love was forbidden, but it doesn't make it any less of a love. And he knew she was going to die, and he didn't want her to die without him by her. But
I get that's what they wanted. I'm not going to argue that, but I don't believe the Jaime I followed over the course of this series would have done that. That's my thought on it.
okay, I think I get what you're saying.
All right, a couple quick ones. Bran,
He won, yeah.
Jorah,
He died, yeah.
he died
Protecting
the way
he loved.
everybody knew he was going to die from
Season 2.
season 1, episode 6 or 7. Like, you didn't know at the beginning, but once you knew Sir Friendzone, you knew he was going to die protecting Daenerys. Sam?
Yeah, he became Master Aemon.
Yeah.
Or, what's he, Master,
Grandmaster.
Grandmaster, yeah.
Yeah. Bronn, he got his castle,
Yeah.
and Master of Coin.
That's hilarious.
That won't go poorly. Brienne,
She became a knight. She got laid. She doesn't have Jaime slow her down anymore. And she's a head knight.
yeah.
Yeah, she got everything.
Yep. Varys,
No.
no.
Got gypped.
Yes.
But at the same time, he kind of didn't because, and I think it's just something that we have to realize.
Yes, he was trying to poison Daenerys.
Yes, he was trying to kill her.
Yes, that's what the little bird was trying to do in the kitchen, was poison. When the bird was saying, she hasn't eaten, she's not getting the poison we want her to get. That's what the girl was saying. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. That said, Varys has been playing the game longer than almost anyone. He is not, I don't think he would die the way he did. He was being too open to too many people.
But I think that comes back to that exhaustion we were saying. Because like you said, he's played the game longer than anybody. And at this point, it's down to the main players. Like, it's down to somebody's going to win. And he's just like, I'm tired of, I'm tired. Look, kill that bitch. Like, poison her food. She ain't eating. We'll just wait till tonight. She'll eat supper. But by that time, like he said, he had been so open and had realized that he had to take his shot.
Right choice.
Right, he had to take his shot. And it cost him his life. So,
Theon.
the best redemption arc in the series.
Theon died way better than his character had any right to.
I disagree. I think Theon had the best redemption across the series. He went from betraying the Starks to becoming Reek to becoming Theon again, to metaphorically earning his balls back, to dying for the family that took him in. I don't see anybody else who had that kind of redemption. Especially being through all he went through.
I'm not saying he didn't. First off, nobody believed Theon was going to live out the whole series.
No one knew he was going to die.
He was going to die, and then when it was like, you're going to be the one protecting Bran, everyone
Definitely
knew right when he was going to die.
But I mean, he volunteered for that too.
He did. Theon went through hell. To me, he never really fully made up for the hell he put others through, in my mind. Now, he went through an amazing arc to try and do it, and I'm not saying he didn't. I think I never really cared for Theon.
Oh, okay.
Like, as soon as Theon betrayed them, I didn't care about him anymore, and for the beginning parts of the Reek stuff, you're like, good. Now, that went a little too far, and you're like, alright, now I feel kind of bad for him. But then he would have, but you knew over the series, he was going to have his redemptive moment. Because, like, they kept showing him, like, when his sister got kidnapped and he jumped off the boat instead of trying to save her, he kept going as low as he could. You knew they were doing it because he was going to come back to have his redemptive moment. I think my biggest issue with his redemptive moment is that was one of them that seemed telegraphed to me the most. Oh, I think that was more telegraphed than the Mad Queen, was that we're going to give him his redemptive arc. And it's sometimes that I don't feel everyone should get a redemptive arc, because some people are just, and sometimes they don't get a chance. So that seems to me one of the more classic story arcs in the show, and I don't know if I feel he deserved it. Now, he got it, and it was well done, his arc, but I just don't, that was something that seemed too normal for Game of Thrones for me.
Well, to me, yes, it was too normal for Game of Thrones. I see what you're saying there. But it just goes to show you what Game of Thrones does to normal. It kills it.
Davos.
How did that guy not die like 7 seasons ago?
Davos is amazing.
Like, for real.
Yes, he should. Dude doesn't even have fingers on one hand.
Right.
How's he fighting half these battles?
That's one person through like the last 2 huge battles I didn't have any concern about. Where's Davos? He's probably fighting somewhere. He's probably killing a lot of stuff. He's good.
And it was great because when they were leading up to the Night King battle, he's just like, I'm an old man. I'm not good at battles. I survived this big battle, or I survived all my fleet getting destroyed at the Blackwater. I survived the Battle of the Bastards when we were completely overrun. What's another battle?
Right. But yeah, his story was awesome. Like, he got what he deserved, and his ending was great.
Clegane.
Perfect. There's no way that couldn't have ended without both of them dying.
Yes. And that is, out of all the things where people are wanting stuff in the show, that was I feel, the biggest fan service moment.
Agreed, 100%.
The last 3 seasons, everyone's been like, Clegane Bowl, Clegane Bowl. And then they were like, I don't know how big it'll be in the book. Doesn't matter. Don't know how much they originally planned on it being a thing. But that's one of those, it feels, where they just see everybody chattering, Clegane Bowl, where it goes, this has gotten too big. We need to make it something special. And like the way they did it, the way there's fire all around them, and everywhere else, every other battle against all the dead armies, there's fire in front of him. He's like, fuck this, I'm out. He sees his brother, fire all around him. I'm getting you.
And spears him through a brick wall into fire. Clegane Bowl ended. The winner, the fans. Yeah, that was awesome. That was a great part. Series overview?
Series over. The series for years was considered one of the best shows on television. We hit the last little bit. There were stumbles. But one, and I think from some of our discussion and from some of us having rewatched them a couple times already, I think revisiting some of the final seasons, some of the stuff will hold up better than you expected, and you'll see some more of the things. It was still rushed, but the finale really held it together a lot more than I expected. A lot. After the last one, I was just like, I'm gonna watch the finale because we're here and I want to watch it, but I really wasn't expecting much.
So to me, Game of Thrones will go down as a cultural phenomenon. As far as the fantasy genre, it's probably the best fantasy TV show of all time. It's not saying much.
There's not a lot of fantasy TV.
Right. You had the late 90s, early 2000s, Hercules, Xena.
Yeah, there's Merlin.
Merlin. Merlin's pretty good, but...
To be fair, none of them have had the fantasy is something that needs a budget, and none of them have really ever had the budget. Like,
Agreed.
The best would be to look at Game of Thrones season 1. It's well done, but they skip out on the big battle at the end of the first season. There's like a lot of the scenes are much more contained, and when you see establishing shots, it's clearly matte paintings. Because at the time, like most fantasy, it didn't have a budget. It didn't get to big budgets to have huge dragon battles until the last couple seasons. Like, it slowly built up because it started making more and more money. And
Right.
it's a show, it's such a phenomenon now that everybody is busy trying to chase the next one. HBO's putting out the His Dark Materials to try and repeat, and they're talking about doing a Game of Thrones prequel. Amazon's trying to do a Lord of the Rings spin-off, early stories in it, and so there's a couple others, but there's a lot of TV studios who are trying to repeat it. It'll probably never be the same.
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean, there'll always be something else, the big, coming around, but it's really hard, especially the ones we just listed, because I don't think the material, none of it lends itself to this show. One of the reasons this show was such a big deal, I was reading a couple different articles on it, but was like, if you take like the Red Wedding, for example, the only reason it is really, really shocking to us is because we're telling a story in the fantasy genre, and you're not used to the hero characters in a fantasy genre getting killed like that. If the Red Wedding happened in a gangster movie, or gangster show, nobody would bat an eye. They'd maybe be sad if a character they like died, but it wouldn't be as unexpected. And that's the thing about this show, was it was really big at trying to subvert expectations for the genre.
Exactly. And so, like, I don't think there'll be another Game of Thrones. While I do think this, and this is something we discussed in our Avengers episode, nerdy is cool right now. It's accepted. So, there's a lot of people who are older who never really gave fantasy a glancing eye, who are taking the chance now with Game of Thrones. And so now it's like, oh, it's okay to watch that kind of thing. They'll go look for something similar. And so it expands upon the genre and people's interest. And I think that's where the next Game of Thrones will come from, is it'll expand the minds of more fans. So I look forward to it. Like, I think I might check out His Dark Materials. Look for the next Game of Thrones. So, I mean, we'll see. But, I mean,
I'll watch the Lord of the Rings stuff because I love that stuff. I've read the Silmarillion. I'll at least give it a shot. I don't know if I can't remember if it's going to take from that or if it's going to do. The rumor was a young Aragorn. One or the other. It's been a bit since I remember reading up on it, but there are some really good. If they did some of the old stories, those are some good classic variants on the hero stories we grew up with in like Greek mythology and all that. It's a different take, which a lot of people don't know because you've never read the Silmarillion.
No.
Yeah, it's
Never read Lord of the Rings.
the Silmarillion's amazing.
I've heard.
Like the armies of the elves going. You saw the Fellowship. Remember the Balrog? Armies of elves going against armies of Balrogs, not just one but armies. And full on the elves in their glory days when they were in full magic. Those are some of the cool stuff.
I watched that. All right, so that is our review on Game of Thrones series finale and the series as a whole.
Thumbs up. It's definitely. I would definitely suggest, especially the last season, for people, and I know there's a lot of people angry with it. I know we're kind of different, I think, than a lot of people I know, where a lot of people I know, they watch something, they don't like it, they rub it off, they don't do it. I'm one, especially on things that are topics that I've been interested in for a while, I've been into Game of Thrones for years, that I sit down and rewatch it. And a lot of times, when you know where it was coming from and what it was doing, you can like it more. And I think a lot of people, when revisiting it, would be surprised by how much they actually do enjoy it and how much of some of the things are set up. So if you do hate it, give it a break. It's fresh in your mind. But seriously, at some point, revisit it. Because I guarantee you, I don't know, 50% of you would probably change your mind. I don't know. I can't really judge how people do. But a lot of you would change, a lot of people would change their mind on some of the things and coming out of nowhere when some stuff was set up. I just don't think in the level it needed to be fully for actions. But
don't forget to like, subscribe, share,
tell us what you think.
comment, suggestions.
We'll figure out something to talk about next week.
Yeah, we don't have anything planned.
No.
No, we're not talking about.
Not talking about Game of Thrones.
No.
We are done.
Daenerys is crazy, dude.
Daenerys is one crazy bitch.
She's insane. Kids, though?
Drogon!
So much fun.
So dumb.